It was January 2015 when I first started with flexible dieting. If you're not familiar, this is the approach where you essentially treat your nutrition like a budget where you have certain constraints. So you want a certain amount of calories in a day to elicit whatever your goal is. If it's fat loss, as is the case for most of my clients, then what we're doing is we're going for a moderate calorie deficit within our budget. Let's imagine it's 2,000 calories per day. Then within that, we have another constraint, which is that we want 150 grams of protein. The next constraint is that we maybe want 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. Now, by doing this kind of budgeting, what we've now done is we've set enough constraints within these variables that it will lead to us mostly eating unprocessed, single ingredient, high protein, healthy foods. And then 20% of our intake will be probably processed things that we just enjoy, right? A little bit of what you fancy, as my grandmother used to always tell me growing up. It's a way of quantifying moderation. The reason I started with that kind of approach is when I was younger, I was very much overweight and I always struggled with binge eating disorder. So I would actually eat and eat and eat until I felt like I was about to throw up. I never could though. Yeah, so I really struggled with that because food for me, I struggle a lot with interoception, right? Which is this whole thing of feeling bodily functions. I have diagnosed ADHD, and that is a very common complaint, right, of people with ADHD is we struggle with internal bodily cues, and we also struggle to naturally manage our energy. So food for me was always like a way of getting a drug high, right? It was like a way of getting a fix. It was rarely about actually eating until I'm full or I'm satiated. It was very much feast or famine. Flexible dieting really helped me in that regard because what it did was it made these constraints external. They kind of sat outside of me. So I was using MyFitnessPal for that whole decade. And essentially it ended my struggle with binge eating disorder. It ended my struggle with this yo-yo approach between extreme dieting and then extreme binging on the other hand. And even if you don't struggle with something like binge eating disorder, if you don't struggle with ADHD, people still struggle in general with the fact that they do binge to a certain extent, certain times of the year or on certain occasions, certain days of the week, which then actually add up to the vast majority of how they gain weight in the first place. It's not like people are consistently, gaining a few hundred grams, which add up to a few kilos day by day. It's more so that people actually gain weight in these very short episodic bursts, okay? Flexible dieting really helps to attenuate that because you always have the constraints of a budget. You have complete freedom, but you also need to back it up with extreme ownership, extreme discipline. I love that Jocko Willink quote, which is that discipline equals freedom. And that's one of the things I do love about that approach, which is that you can actually eat whatever you want. You can have whatever kind of life you want, so long as you have the discipline to meet your constraints on a consistent basis. It's a way to help ground you without sucking all the joy out of life. Okay, it's a way of instituting moderation if you really struggle with that concept. So that's been my journey with it. I couldn't recommend that style of eating enough if you do struggle with any of those issues, if you struggle with moderation, even if you've just found yourself becoming disillusioned with arbitrary diet rules. I really do think that flexible dieting is more a way of teaching you how to eat rather than telling you what you can or can't eat. It's almost like a libertarian approach to nutrition. If you want more information about how you can have more flexibility, less food restriction, and to save time with tools like AI while you're on your fat loss journey, sub to the channel, head to the description of this video where there will be some helpful links, and I'll see you in the next one.